Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The program will begin in 10 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The ceremony will begin momentarily. Thank you for joining us for the 2019 NABJ Hall of Fame Luncheon. Please be advised, this event will be recorded or streamed for local, regional, and national audiences via social media and other web and broadcast platforms. Now, please welcome your hosts. Today's show anchor, co-host of the third hour of Today, and MSNBC Live host Craig Melvin, and from the upcoming film Clemency, four-time Emmy Award-winning actor Ms. Alfre Woodard.
Okay, y'all better keep clapping until we get up here.
This is going to be fun. This is going to be fun. I got a phone call several months ago, and a young lady on the other end of the phone, she said, hey, we're having a luncheon. Would you be interested in working with Alfre Woodard? I said, yes. I didn't even ask what the luncheon was, who was spotted and asked. I am so honored. I've been such a fan for a long time to be here with you. And your new film, Clemency, I know there's a screening later. Check it out. You heard it here first. It will win an Oscar.
As long as it wins your attention, that's all we want.
Welcome to the 2019 NABJ Hall of Fame Luncheon. We are thrilled to be your hosts, especially during this historic convention. This year, for those of you who have not heard, we have reached an all-time attendance of 4,000 registrations and counting.
When you walk out of this room today, we want you to remember one word: legacy. Consider the inheritance that you are leaving behind, whether you're an emerging journalist or a newsroom veteran. Consider what the next generation of storytellers will inherit from you.
This year, of course, we lost one of the most gifted creators of our time who happened to leave behind a little something for all of us, her words.
Journalism is unique. It's the only industry where you are required to report on the human experience and expected to sacrifice your own. Our ceremony today is a reminder that the most important story you will ever tell is your own.
Today, we honor trailblazers, innovators, emerging journalists with our special awards and Hall of Fame inductions. But most importantly, we honor you, the members of NABJ. And with that said, this event would not be possible without our sponsors.
Today's Hall of Fame luncheon is made possible by AARP.
I gathered. That's a rowdy
They
bunch
got
from
my
AARP.
back. I've been off in AARP quite a while. It is the nation's largest nonprofit, nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering people 50 and above to choose how they live and how they age.
With 38 million members nationwide, AARP advocates on a variety of issues important to adults. The organization's latest advocacy campaign is aimed at lowering prescription drug prices, not just for seniors, but for all Americans. In fact, here's a look at AARP's campaign to stop prescription greed.
The need to lower the cost of prescription drugs is one of the issues that has bipartisan support. And here in Florida, you're doing something about it.
We in the state spend a lot of money on these prescription drugs for prisoners. Hepatitis C, if I could get that from Canada, we'd save millions and millions of dollars.
The only way I can get the medicine that I deserve and got to have now is that my doctors give me samples.
And
And just to give you an idea, my medication here in the U.S. costs $13.50 per pill. I go to Canada, I'm paying $1.67.
How much greed is there when you have somebody 4 months away from losing her home because she has to decide between eating lentils and tuna fish, her drugs, and her home?
We need to stop the greed, and we need to bring down the cost of prescription drugs. You shouldn't be having to make a choice between whether or not you're going to take that prescription drug or eat or pay a bill. And this won't be the last time that you see me down here, or that the AARP team is reaching out to you to help tell your story. So thank you very much.
Thank you every day, AARP. Miss Teen USA, Miss USA, and Miss America. They all belong to us. Never in American history have 3 black women reigned in all 3 events at the same time. Today, Today, one of our queens is here to help us honor you.
Singing This Is Me from The Greatest Showman, classically trained opera singer and advocate for the arts as well. Please welcome Miss America 2019, Miss Nia Franklin.
I am not a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say, 'cause no one will love you as you are. But I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words want to cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me. Another round of bullets hits my skin. Well, fire away, 'cause today I won't let the shame sink in. We are bursting through the barricades, reaching for the sun. Yeah, that's what we've become. Oh, I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words want to put me down, I'm gonna send the flood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me. I'm marching to the beat of my own drum. Nobody's gonna put me down. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. won't. This is brave, this is bruised, this is who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. Thank you.
Here, let's give it up for Nia. Do you realize how powerful that is for our young people to be able to see a Miss America in that beautiful brown skin with all those brains singing, "This is me"? You guys, we are on our way up in a way that has never happened before. Keep the faith.
Amen to that. And those pipes.
I know, yes. In the spirit of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the SCLC, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, is renewing its commitment to bring about the promise of one nation under God, indivisible.
Here to deliver the invocation, please welcome the director of the Miami branch, Reverend Garry Johnson.
Good afternoon. This is a beautiful occasion. I am Reverend Garry Johnson. I'm honored to be here. I'm so honored to be here is that our president, Sarah Glover, I want to thank her, and the local president, Brother Russell Motley, and Juwan Strader, Calvin Hughes, and many others, Donovan Campbell. I wanted to share something with you, and I'll be finished very shortly. There was a USA Today article that was written and entitled, February the 8th, 1619, 400 years ago, a ship bearing human cargo, and it landed in Virginia, our ancestors. I said that because I wanted to share this message with you in Genesis, the 15th chapter. It says, as the sun setting, Abraham fell into a deep sleep, and the thick of the dreadful darkness came over him. Then the Lord said to him, know for certain that for 400 years your descendants will be strangers in a country not their own, that they will be enslaved and mistreated there. But I will, thank you, President Trump, for being here right now, but I will punish this nation that will serve them as slaves, and afterwards they will come out with great possessions. If you don't mind, just bow your heads just where you are. Father God, we thank you for that revelation. I had the honor and pleasure to meet such wonderful people at the NABJ. You blessed us so much, God, that in that right there, that message, you brought it together to me this week. Now I understand your revelation. 400 years ago, August 30th, the year 1619. This is August 9th, 2019. 22 days from now will be 400 years. Get ready, because the Lord said in that same passage, I will give you great possessions, my people. So thank you, NABJ, for being here at the right time, at the right moment. And for those who love the Lord, do me one favor, turn to the neighbor to the right and say, get ready for your possessions. Then turn to the left and tell those who had a hangover from last night, you too will receive it. So NABJ, I leave you with the words of encouragement. Get ready, don't take sides, but just take over.
We're going to take a quick break for lunch, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back.
took my love. You took my love. Didn't I tell you what I believe? Somebody say that a love like that will last. Didn't I give you all that I got to give you, baby? I give you all that I have got. I give you more than I could give. Give you love. I give you all that I have inside. Then you took my love. You took my love. I keep trying. I keep crying for you. There's nothing like you and I, baby. This is no ordinary love, no ordinary love. This is no ordinary love, no ordinary love. When you came my way, bright and every day, with your sweet smile. Didn't I tell you what I believe? Somebody say that a love like that will last. Didn't I give you all that I got to give you, baby? This is no ordinary love, no ordinary love. This is no ordinary love, no ordinary love. This is no ordinary love, no ordinary love. This is no ordinary love, no ordinary love.
Just want to let everyone know you're locked to the sound of Spectrum Band. Thank you, Garry. From the United States Virgin Islands, that's where we call home. And on the vocals we have the one and only Miss Lorna Freeman.
With a smile on my face, jumped out of bed, took a shower, dressed, cleaned up my place, made me some breakfast, toast, 2 scrambled eggs, Chris, grab my keys, grab my purse, grab my jacket off to work, beaming all the way down Third
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Once again, I'd like to sound the Spectrum Band, and of course, in the lead vocals, we have Miss Joyner Freeman. Miss Lona Freeman, y'all. From the United States Virgin Islands.
Thank you. Some people live for the fortune. Some people live just for the fame. Some people live for the power, yeah. And some people live just to play the game. Some people think that the physical things divine once within. I've been there before. That life's a war so full of the superficial. But some people want it all. I don't want nothing at all. If it ain't you, baby. If I ain't got you, baby. Some people want diamond rings. Some just want everything. But everything means nothing if I ain't got you. Yeah. Some people search for the fountain that promises forever you. Some people need 3 dozen roses, but that's the only way to prove you love them. Hand me the world on a silver platter, and what good would it be with no one to share, with no one who truly cares for me? Some people want it all. I don't want nothing at all. If it ain't you, baby. If I ain't got you, baby. Some people want diamond rings. Some just want everything. But everything means nothing if I ain't got you. Some people want it all. I don't want nothing at all. If it ain't you, baby. If I ain't got you, baby. Some people want diamond rings. Some just want everything. But everything means nothing if I ain't got you. No, 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 no.
This afternoon by the U.S. Virgin Islands Department of Tourism. We'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Our program is now resuming.
We certainly want to encourage you to continue with lunch, but we would also like to encourage you to stop talking. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. This year, NABJ is celebrating 30 years of student projects. And for those of you who are not familiar, it is a week-long program. Yeah. A number of graduates in this room, I'm sure. It's a week-long program for aspiring college journalists that only happens during the annual convention.
The students are mentored and trained by NABJ members who volunteer their time to teach these budding journalists. Throughout the summer, alumni tributes have been pouring in. Let's take a look at where they are now.
You know, my experience at the NABJ TV project really was fantastic. I think as a college student, I went into it thinking it was going to be chill, a lot of seminars, a lot of talking. It really was hands-on, though, with the professionals really putting us through our paces. I learned so much about deadlines, how to write conversationally, and ethics. I think it really is what college students need to go through to really become good journalists.
Hi, I'm Erin Rogers. I did student projects in 2009 and 2011. I am currently the morning and noon anchor at WMAZ TV in Central Georgia. It just gave me so much knowledge and a lot of motivation and encouragement that I was on the right path. Some of the other student project members that I did student projects with are still some of my best friends in the industry, but I still keep in touch with my mentors from student projects. Just the encouragement and the guidance that I got while doing it has definitely helped shape and get me where I am today. I'm glad that you guys have gotten the opportunity to experience it too. It's life-changing for sure. Have a great week and happy 30th Student Projects.
The Michael J. Feeney Emerging Journalist of the Year Award recognizes a Black print, broadcast, digital, or photo journalist with less than 5 years of experience in the industry.
Michael was a former New York Daily News reporter who's also a rising star here at NABJ, best known for his exclusive interviews with celebrities and also his dance moves as well, I'm told. Back in 2016, Michael passed away suddenly, but not before writing his own obituary from his hospital bed.
Through their hard work and service, nominees must display a commitment to NABJ's goals of outstanding achievement and balanced coverage of the Black community and society at large. Let's take a look at this year's recipient.
Emcee is a top-rate political journalist right now. I've seen her cover everything from Trump to Joe Biden's campaign to Kamala Harris. What's really important about her work is, yes, she covers those super high-up politicians at a very high level, but also she always makes room for reporting about the lives of regular people.
She always has like an analysis on whatever topic she's talking about that is like 2 layers past what everybody else is talking about.
She's aware that in this field and in this town there are not a lot of people with voices that look like her. She carries a lot of burden on her shoulders to be like, I have an extra responsibility to bring voices to light that aren't being brought to light.
I remember growing up and watching the news and never seeing anyone who looked like me on the news, never reading a byline and seeing someone who looked like me covering politics. And that was one of my early motivating factors for getting into this business.
The moment when she really just set herself apart and distinguished herself was late last year when she told me she had a very good source who had begun leaking her private schedules for the president.
I thought if I sat on these things and accumulated as much information as possible about how the president is spending his day and the unconventional way in which he's creating the schedule to have executive time, then it would be a bigger, more impactful story to talk about the aggregate of his time over the last 3 months, especially after the midterm elections in which his party saw a massive loss in the House.
That was on everything from morning television to late night, every channel, the New York Times followed up on it. The source has never been caught and they never will be caught. She showed a maturity that most reporters of her age wouldn't have.
This moment feels so consequential. All the things that the country is going through and dealing with and thinking through at the same time and trying to make sense of makes this feel like much more than a job where I'm just clocking hours and shipping it in. The fact that like my younger sister will text me about something that's going on in politics, which she never did before. It's no longer just a job when your closest friends and family members are texting you or calling you about things they're worried about that are going on. It is more of a selfless act of like trying to help other people figure this out while I'm trying to figure it out for myself.
Please welcome the 2019 Michael J. Feeney Emerging Journalist of the Year, Alfre McCammon.
Hi, everyone. I'm trying not to cry. That was so nice. I'm Alfre McCammon. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining in on this celebration that, you know, when Sarah Glover called me, I had just finished doing Hallie Jackson's show, and I stepped off, and I was like, why is Sarah calling me? Like, this is unusual. And I just started crying, waiting for the car to take me home, which is, you know, just a testament to how I really feel about receiving this award. In a lot of ways, it sort of feels like a homecoming. It's a validation of my work, yes, but it's also, it feels like and symbolizes for me a new chapter in sort of identifying and accepting and embracing a new part of my identity that is bigger than myself. I never in a million years would have thought that I would be where I am right now at this point in my career, so young. And you know, I get so many questions about my age. And at first, trying to break into political reporting this young when people would ask, how old are you? Or they get around to asking how old you are by referencing some obscure movie from the 80s or like a baseball World Series from like decades before I was born. And I was like, yeah, I definitely don't know what that was. But it's scary because you know, you feel that intimidation within yourself when you're so young and you're trying to break into the field. And then to have other people recognize it feels scary because you're like, oh no, I've been exposed for being a young person. But now I've come to sort of wear it as a badge of honor, you know, and I'm turning 26 in a few weeks, and I have this internal pressure of doing as much, thank you. But I feel this internal pressure to do as much as I possibly can before people stop asking me how old I am. So it's a catch-22 of sorts. But like I said, this just feels so much bigger than myself. And I'm grateful to play a small part in all of this and to be able to have a seat at the table, both literally and figuratively. I love the work that I do. I feel honored to be able to explore the stories that I'm covering, whether it's the 2020 election or President Trump and his White House and his administration, or having conversations with people at my own company that are incredibly difficult when you are sitting in a room full of white folks who do not understand inherently the things that you care about and you're advocating for, but you have to be the first and the only sometimes to make those conversations happen. So with that, I will end with a quick quote from one of my favorite authors, Frantz Fanon, which says, I am black, I am in total fusion with the world, in sympathetic affinity with the earth, losing my id in the heart of the cosmos. I am black not because of a curse, but because my skin has been able to capture all of the cosmic effluvia. I am truly a drop of sun under the earth. Thank you.
We'll go together.
And again, just one more reminder here, ladies and gentlemen, if we could try and keep the conversations at our tables to a low whisper, if essential at all. By the way, we are going to be watching and reading Alfre McCammon for years to come. You heard it here first. The next award is given to an individual who who has made outstanding efforts to make newsrooms and news coverage more accurately reflect the diversity of the communities they serve.
It's named in honor of Ida B. Wells, the distinguished journalist, fearless reporter, and feminist who led the anti-lynching crusade in the United States that began in the 1890s.
Sheila Brooks has blazed a path. She brings people with her. She genuinely cares about people. And you don't find that in a lot of people. Those are rare attributes. She has managed to keep her humanity and to find the humanity in other people.
You look at her, pushing this community forward. Again, we talked about the fact that she is willing to kind of reach back and to grab other people up and bring them along the way. She's opening doors for so many people, for so many young Black people like myself.
My most important gift has been mentoring young people, giving back my knowledge. And that's what I've done with the NABJ student projects over the years. I was using my gift back in 1986 when I thought about the idea and presented my first proposal.
I think Sheila has done a tremendous job in helping to educate and mentor several generations of African Americans in media.
I hold those young people that I have mentored over the years in the NABJ student projects in the highest regard. And I hold them in that highest regard because it's important that they be the best that they can be because of the stiff competition that there is out here.
Now, when I met Sheila, I thought, wow, I'm in good hands. I'm really fortunate to be here. It was clear that she was both knowledgeable and caring, that she knew her stuff, that she could see stuff in us, she could see our potential.
I know I'm tough when it comes to educating and training young people, but I'm tough because I also know what a fierce world it is out there and how they have to be better than the next person trying to get that job.
And to have someone with Sheila's background and experience having your back, not only showing you the techniques and how to do what you need to do, but also giving you the willpower and the desire to continue and to be excellent at it. This is a great gift that Sheila has given to our young people in NABJ.
Please welcome the 2019 Ida B. Wells Award recipient, Dr. Sheila Brooks.
Dr. Brooks, congratulations.
Oh my God, oh my God. Don't make me cry. Thank you so much. What an amazing honor. I am eternally grateful for this prestigious Ida B. Wells Award. And thank you, President Sarah J. Glover, the NABJ Board, and you, NABJ. And to God be the glory for all the wonderful things He has certainly done for me and that He continues to do. I am blessed beyond words for the support of all of you, all of my young people in this room, as well as my friends, family, the support of my husband, Rodney Brooks, and my son, Andre Brooks. You know, our experiences define who we are. I am who I am and what I stand for today because of my mother in heaven, who, tired of picking cotton on her grandmother's farm in Holly Springs, Mississippi. Her mother died when she was only 7 years old. And she left home at 13 years old during the Great Depression, finding her way to Kansas City, Missouri, which became my hometown. I stand here today on the shoulders of the uncompromising and unapologetic Black feminist and civil rights activist Ida B. Wells, Oh, how similar they were, my mother and Ida B. Wells. Courageous women, fearless women with grit, commitment, and passion. I know all too well, it is through your pain that you find your power. These two women were powered by purpose. For Ida B. Wells, the black press became a platform for her thunderous voice. For my mother, she guarded her two daughters fiercely through the 1960 civil rights movement, busing us across town to better schools, shielding us as much as she could from the violent rampage of the 1968 rioting. And I still find it amazing that these two women were born and raised in Holly Springs, Mississippi. My mother was only 14 years old when Ida B. Wells died in 1931. Both of these fierce and phenomenal women left a legacy. They taught us that every tomorrow is a vision of hope. They had what I call sister girl guts. As I watch those that I mentor excel, I am filled with joy and gratitude for the opportunity to serve. So I say to you as I close, continue the good fight. Fight the fight. Now more than ever, we have to stand against racism. We have to tear down those barriers. Be vigilant and unmovable, unwavering and steadfast. Be deliberate in thought and intentional in action. We all know you get what you give. I leave you with this. In the words of Harriet Tubman, the greatest freedom fighter of all times, every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember, you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars and to change the world. Thank you, and God bless. I'm going to ask the students to stand up.
Okay.
And since I am at the microphone, I always take this prerogative. I want all those former NABJ students who are in professional jobs across the country, Roland Martin, Lisa Cox, Leslie Foster, Nikki Mohan, Patrick Riley, so many of you, stand up, show them who you are. Show them who you are. All right now, Troy Presswood. All right.
Congratulations, Andy. Named after Pat Tobin, a pioneering publicist, the next award honors a public relations, advertising, marketing professional, and media owner who serves as an industry trailblazer.
In 1998, Tobin co-founded the National Black Public Relations Society. Still today, the organization, run by professionals for professionals, addresses the diverse needs of its members through programs and partnerships. Let's take a look at this year's recipient.
Everything that Ron Carter has ever done as a publicist, as a person that knows the importance of connecting the dots, has been outstanding. He has worked with every African-American great from Michael Jackson to Whitney Houston and everyone in between.
If I need insight on a story source in the world of entertainment, which is not my shtick,
But because I work in Hollywood, sometimes I do have to find people on a short notice, and you need to talk to someone who's in that world. Ron is your go-to.
He can take your issue, or he can take, it could be political, it could be religious, it could be a number of different things, and see how that works within the community and move it forward. And not everybody always knows that it may be Ron doing it.
When you look at the clients that Ron has had over the years, it's very obvious that he is committed to improving and enhancing the perception of African Americans in the media and in business.
I went from being a publicist at Warner Brothers to basically working for Quincy Jones's record company. I was in charge of media relations at Quest Records. What I'm doing now, I worked with the city of Pasadena, the Public Works Department, on a project. It was the renovation of Jackie Robinson Park. It's an iconic park here in Pasadena. We were able to hire 64 kids from this city of Pasadena to work throughout that summer. We were also able to hire 9 different companies from around Pasadena to help us with different things we were doing.
Pat Tobin was deeply committed. She loved Black people and wanted us to have all that we deserve and more. And similarly, I see that same level of commitment in Ron Carter.
The opportunity that I have to assist in telling the Black stories from a Black point of view is very, very important. I feel blessed. I feel blessed to be, as I said, to be working in a field that I love with people that I adore, and to be doing work that is meaningful, work that impacts people's lives and change people's lives. It's all about, what do I give back to the community? What can I do every day to make my clients' lives better?
Please welcome the Pat Tobin Award recipient, Ron Carter.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, I should say. How does an individual who was born in a third world South American country gets the opportunity to work for iconic entertainers Quincy Jones, Michael Jackson, and Chaka Khan? I believe it involves opportunity, preparedness, and blessings. Blessings that come from working with individuals like all of you in this room this afternoon. So at this wonderful moment in my life, I am humbled and overjoyed to receive the 2019 Patricia L. Tobin Award. To God be the glory. Pat Tobin was a dear friend of mine. She introduced me to the legendary publicist, Bob Jones, who became my boss, my mentor, and friend. I'm blessed to be receiving this award, which is named after her. I miss my friend, Pat Tobin, full of life spirit. I thank NABJ President Sarah Glover and the NABJ Board of Directors for selecting me to receive this prestigious award. Being the first man to receive this award, I am very proud and grateful for this honor. This is a historic moment. I thank my wife, Veronica, who unselfishly supports my work and career and is the rock behind my successes. To my great friend, Greg Dunmore, who made this award possible, I say thank you for your genuine and dear friendship. And to my brother from another mother, Gene Shelton, who curtailed his South African trip to be here today with me, I said, Gene, thank you. You gave me my first job in public relations, and I haven't stopped since. Thank you, Beverly White, Art Norman, Terry Allen, and Lee Hawkins, for your support and friendship are immeasurable. To my fraternity brothers and best friends, Carter Womack, Arthur Thomas, and Sidney McCrae, I thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here supporting me today. I love you, gentlemen. Blue Phi. To all my friends in the audience who are too many to name, thank you for your support, love, friendship, and for accepting this Guyanese guy who cannot lose his Caribbean accent. Thank you to the members of NABJ Los Angeles chapter who are here today cheering for me. And last but not least, I thank all of my colleagues and clients who have supported my work and dedication to the public relations industry. Special shout outs to my newest clients, Valerie Hollingsworth Baker, the international president of Zeta Phi Beta sorority, who will be celebrating their centennial in July 2020, and my friend, Ambassador Michael Lawson, president of the Los Angeles Urban League. These two outstanding organizations have hired our company to help publicize and message their mission. We thank you for your support. Publicity is the life. Together we rise. Thank you.
Congratulations.
The NABJ Legacy Award is presented annually to a print, broadcast, digital, or photojournalist of extraordinary accomplishment who has broken barriers and created journalistic blueprints for others to follow.
Let's take a look at this year's recipient.
Jim Washington is a freedom fighter. He's an outstanding journalist, communications specialist, public relations specialist. He's the publisher of the Dallas Weekly, which is a major newspaper in North Texas. He serves on the board of the National Newspaper Publishers Association. So I see Jim Washington as an invaluable asset, not only to the black press of America, but an invaluable asset to African people all over the world who strive and cry out for freedom, justice, and equality.
People without a voice cannot be heard. If our voice is not telling the story, you're going to hear that story from a different perspective. The major market papers is going to tell you all of the negative stories, who was raped, who was robbed, who was murdered. It's always the negative. So we have to make it our mission to celebrate and uplift those individuals who are doing great things.
I believe that our stories are important. I think our history is important. I think that you don't know what you're going to find if you forget your history. It has always been an understanding of mine that we had to preserve our own culture. We had to record what was important and we had to share it. I want to know what makes a city tick, and that's what I did in Dallas. And owning the newspaper gave me a little bit, not a little bit, but it gave me a lot of independence in terms of how I could function in that town. Because I used to tell people sometimes I had a constitutional right to get in their business.
For 192 years, the black press of America has been on the front line of not only reporting the news, but advocating. Jim Washington represents not just a historic legacy, but he also represents the innovative future of the black press, being able to communicate not only in print, but in digital, online, and social media. Jim Washington represents all those formats of how to distribute the truth of the black press, how to make sure that the black press continues to make an impact. I see Jim Washington as one of the leading innovators in the black press of America.
There are institutions at home, and home meaning Dallas, that are here because of him. There are people that have created spaces for business and opportunity because of him. There is this legacy of this black press that is going to be continued because of him. You know, there's just a lot of because of hims you can put on a piece of paper, and they're all very true. So the legacy is sound, tangible, and deserving.
Please welcome the 2019
NABJ Legacy Award recipient, James A. Washington.
I was okay till I saw my son. I'm come from a culture that names mean things. So if you don't mind, I'm gonna talk about a few names. If I call your name, raise your hand or stand up. Paula Walker. Rochelle Riley. Ruth Alderson, Alexis Yancey, Norma Adams-Wade. Those guys were the basis of who we were. So we started with the support of this organization. They would not let us fail in Dallas. But they also instilled in us a certain amount of integrity, a certain amount of one person with courage makes a majority. Now that led straight to some more of your leaders, Cheryl Smith, Roland Martin. These are former editors and a whole bunch of people in between that spoke with a pretty loud voice through us. Roland's was probably the loudest. But there was another group of folk. Let me turn this off. There was another group of folks who wound up in my office because their careers were assassinated by the folks they worked for. Now, after I gave them a tissue, gave them a place to sit, gave them a place to cry, I told them what I'm telling you. Do not let the job or the job title define who you are. Be who God made you to be, and not what others say you're supposed to be, and you will be okay. Sprinkled in here, they are the John Yearwoods of the world, and I'm going in with other people who are in the list. John Jenkins. I'm looking at Tom Joyner. Sheila was not Sheila. What is it? She was Sheila Dietrichs at the time. So there was and still is a mafia in Dallas. I am just the representative godfather who gave them a place to sit and a place to be who they were. We have interns now at this convention who got their jobs, some are from what you trained and some of what we trained. I'm looking at my wife here who is from the Atlanta Voice, you saw on screen. There's a workshop upstairs now where the journalists and the students and professional journalists can come to Atlanta and in a week's time get their certificates for drone and how to use drones in journalism. We will bridge this gap from journalists and the black press because, as the minister said before, sometimes you're going to need an alternate place to work. At sometimes you're going to need an alternate place to be who you are, uninhibited. That's my job. I welcome it. So, thank you very much for this honor. It is much appreciated. And with an understanding that there is still so much more work to be done, I accept it.
Rochester.
Congratulations to all of our special award honorees. And now to this year's Hall of Fame inductees who have made significant contributions to journalism that will echo throughout our community for generations to come.
Here's a look at this year's first inductee.
Wanda Lloyd's journalism journey began in high school. Her leadership qualities were quickly recognized, and she was appointed editor of the school paper, The Beach Beacon, in the 12th grade. From that point on, there was no stopping Wanda Lloyd as a newspaper leader for several daily publications across the nation, including the Washington Post and the USA Today. After more than 4 decades in the newspaper daily grind, Lloyd retired, and in 2013 stepped into academia, becoming an associate professor and chair of the Department of Journalism and Mass Communications at Savannah State University. As chair, Lloyd launched SSU Media High, a residential digital media summer program for high school students, and earlier this year was inducted into the Southern Regional Press Institute Hall of Fame for her contributions to that institute for more than 50 years. Lloyd was the founding executive director of the Freedom Forum Diversity Institute at Vanderbilt University, which trained people of color seeking mid-career shifts into daily newspaper journalism. Lloyd recently penned her memoir, Coming Full Circle, From Jim Crow to Journalism, with hopes that she will inspire a future generation of women and journalists who dare to buck the normal path to success. NABJ 2019 Hall of Fame inductee, Wanda Lloyd.
Wow. Thank you, and good afternoon, NABJ. Ever since I attended my first NABJ conference in Louisville in the early 1980s, it was 81, Betty, thank you very much. This organization has been a part of my personal and professional life. I am honored to be inducted with this cohort of great journalists and to join this club of outstanding colleagues. Thank you, NABJ, not just for this honor, but for being my rock, my enabler, my supportive professional family for almost 40 years. To everyone who, when they heard about this honor, wrote a note, called me, reached out to me on social media, and touched my heart with your congratulations, thank you for the love. Many have thanked me for hiring them and mentoring, the critical feedback, the career guidance, and leadership. Others simply said they learned by watching me when I didn't even know they were watching. I am the product of NABJ and so many entities that have given me the opportunity to learn and become a successful journalist and leader. These supportive entities include Spelman College, the Newspaper Fund, the Maynard Institute, the Freedom Forum, the American Society of News Editors, Gannett, the Scripps Howard Academic Leadership Program, the Accrediting Council, ACEJMC, and Savannah State University. The message I want to leave with you today is that people are watching. Whether you are making your way around the halls of this conference, back in your newsroom, or in a job in your digital space, people are watching you. When you are building a campaign for your best clients, or leading a meeting, conducting an interview, shooting a story, or editing a package, people are watching. And most of all, for those who are now leaders or aspire to become leaders, people are definitely watching you as they were watching and then emulating me. That's the greatest praise I could receive. For those of you who desire to be a leader, promise me this. Go grab yourself a mentor and learn how to lead with compassion and authority. And then when you become a leader, I want you to make it your business to bring someone else along. Whether you are a college student or a seasoned journalist, you have a responsibility to mentor others, especially your brothers and sisters in NABJ. I want to thank my family for being here today. Some of you know my husband, Willie, and our daughter, Shelby, both of whom are no strangers to NABJ. I'm in the sunset years now. I have transitioned to becoming a nonfiction writer. And I'm getting ready to hit the road when my memoir, Coming Full Circle, Jim Crow to Journalism, is published early next year. Maybe I will see you on the tour. Just keep watching me. Thank you, NABJ.
After 45 years, the Associated Press sports editors decided it was time for a fresh look and some fresh eyes when the organization elected our next inductee, its first African-American president.
He now serves on the Dow Jones News Fund Board and multiple journalism school boards. Let's take a look at how Garry D. Howard earned the title Hall of Famer.
Sports media trailblazer Garry Howard began his career as a journalist with the Trenton Times. His passion and hard work paid off, propelling him to several newsrooms across the East Coast. In 1994, Howard moved to the Midwest, accepting the executive sports editor's position at the Milwaukee Journal, becoming the only African-American sports editor at a major metropolitan daily at the time. The Journal merged with the Milwaukee Sentinel, and Howard was named senior editor at the newly combined sports department at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Later, he was promoted to assistant managing editor. Garry continued to climb the ladder and in 2010 accepted the position as editor-in-chief with Sporting News. 4 years later, he found himself at the helm of American City Business Journals as the director of corporate initiatives. Howard continued to break barriers, becoming president of Associated Press Sports Editors, the first African American to hold that seat in the organization's 45-year history. Garry has been recognized by peers and colleagues with several awards, and in 2017 was inducted into the Milwaukee Press Club Hall of Fame. Sharing his wisdom and experience, he serves on advisory boards at Morgan State University and the University of Maryland. 2019 NABJ Hall of Fame inductee, Garry Howard, paving the way for the future.
Please welcome the 2019 Hall of Fame inductee, Garry D. Howard.
What's up? I got like 3 minutes, so I'm gonna try to get through this. I peeked outside the snow-covered sliding glass door of my big sister Jacqueline's house, first floor bedroom apartment in Plainsboro, New Jersey, and I knew I needed money. Ain't nothing but sweat inside my hand. Get the heavy shovel out and start helping other tenants dig their cars out of this shitstorm. Yeah, that's the ticket. I did, and over throughout that morning until I asked a tall black man whether he needed some help, for a fee, of course. He said, sure, what's your name? I said, it doesn't matter, does it? You want the help or not? And he started laughing, which kind of pissed me off. But this man, insistent as hell, kept asking me so many questions until after I finished his car, I went off like the mad rapper. I'm from the projects in the South Bronx. I attended the Lawrenceville School on a full 4-year scholarship at 13. I told him, and then I graduated from Lehigh University with a journalism degree and a Dow Jones News Fund internship, the first intern ever on the Wall Street Journal. I was just let go by the Trenton Times 4 months ago, and I don't have a job. My sister Jackie's been taking care of me out of love, and I don't have a car or apartment or one stick of furniture. Yeah, I'm mad I don't have a job, and I don't want to talk to you about this shit, and I'm done with this business, I shouted. He just laughed at me and said, you something else. And then he immediately took out his business card. He said, my name is Charles Johnson, and I'm the managing editor at the Home News. Why don't you come and see me tomorrow? Ain't no damn black managing editors that made him laugh so much. When I showed up at the Home News, I was like, hey, Mr. Johnson. After smiling, he informed me that he had 2 jobs, a 24-hour-a-week position as an obituary reporter. I thought about it for 2 seconds because the other job was a clerk position. And I said, the obituary reporter is a staff writing position, correct? He said, yeah, it is. Well, obituaries it is. I would move, it was then that he carried me. I would move back to Mitchell in the South Bronx with my mom and the incredible Ann Boone Howard and commute to New Brunswick on the subway and the New Jersey transit buses for the next year, knocking out dozens of obituaries. But my true passion was always sports. And after leaving being virtually invisible to the journalism powers that be, I wanted to become the power that be, just for a chance to make sure that someone with my talent is actually seen for his brilliance and not the color of his skin. A couple of quick years later, I was living in the sunshine of St. Pete, Florida, thinking of my master plan, working on the copy desk, and I met my true love of my life, Donna Louise Broadnax. She was born in that beautiful city. Little did I know at the time, we would never be separated again, having been married now for the past 31 years and blessed with an exceptional daughter, Jennifer Nicole Howard, and they're both there, my girl. And there was this one little problem about me. I got to the Philadelphia Inquirer, and it started happening. Copy editor, assistant sports editor, deputy sports editor, bureau chief for the Winter Games in Lillehammer, Norway. I was freezing, but I was covering the Olympics. Suddenly, I was just one more step away from my true goal, ability to hire whomever the hell I thought was great. But there was this little problem. There was not one black sports editor at a major newspaper in the entire country, not one. And I was blacker than the night that covers me. I mean, that was not lost on Marty Kaiser, who brought me to Milwaukee. I was on a mission to become a power that be, so I left the Inquirer. You see, it finally happened. When I was named sports editor there, just a quick 10 years after meeting Charles Johnson in the snow in Plainsboro, New Jersey, and Marty Kaiser made it possible. Why? Because he truly saw me. I was no longer invisible. With that power to be, I was able to help make superstars in this business who looked like me. True talents like D. Orlando Ledbetter, happy birthday, bro. Cliff Brown, David Steele, Rob Parker, Jamel Hill, Darryl Fry, Mark Spears, Garry Washburn, and truly Stephen A. Smith, and many, many more, all a part of the NABJ Sports Task Force. With that power to be, I was able to forge a path to the managing editors level that black men and women like Leon Hugo Carter, David Squires, Roxanne Jones, Neil Scarborough, Larry Starks, Maria Douglas Reeves, Sam Davis, Raina Cash, and Lisa Wilson would follow to become the boss. I can look back at my career and smile now, but none of this would have been possible without the greatest mentor of my life, my mother, Ann Boone Howard, a single mom who did a phenomenal job of raising me and my 5 siblings with determination and a strong backbone, all on a shoestring budget in the projects in the South Bronx. I want to thank my soul, my brothers and sisters, Jackie, Bruce, Garry, Cynthia, Tanya, Reggie, y'all better get in this house. I want to thank my cousin, Sean Christopher Howard, who's here today. He's always there with me. And I want to thank a big hug to my great friend and mentor, NBA Hall of Famer Nate Tani Archibald, for outstanding guidance since I was a teenager. I want to give a shout out to ACE, American City Business Journal CEO, Whitney Shaw, who believed in me and hired me as editor-in-chief for the Sporting News and then put me in corporate. He told me I was Ali and he was Boudini. And lastly, I want to give a special shout out to my brothers of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated for all the uplift since the spring of 1985. I want to thank the National Association of Black Journalists for being the vehicle that helps us through the tough times, rejoices when we excel, and continually speaks on behalf of the voiceless. I always believed I was the master of my faith, the captain of my soul. I'm here to tell you, you can be too. God bless you all, and God bless NABJ for showing me that I was never, ever alone.
In 1972, the first screenplay ever to be filmed by an African-American woman was nominated for a Pulitzer Prize. The film, a 5-part series entitled Georgia, Georgia, was written and directed by Dr. Maya Angelou.
That same year, 1972, news broke about the Watergate scandal. Governor George Wallace was shot and the first scientific handheld calculator was released. Meanwhile, in our nation's capital, 7 journalists tried carrying the one and found that the math just did not add up.
The group took charge and filed a complaint with the EEOC, leading the way for those of us still fighting for equal pay in 2019. Let's take a look at the pioneers who sounded the alarm.
In February of 1972, Richard Prince, Mike Hodge, Ivan Brandon, LaBarbara Bowman, Leon Dash, Penny Mickleberry, and Ronald Taylor stood together as a collective voice fighting for change. They came to be known as the Metro 7. The 7 reporters, fed up with how the Washington Post was denying black employees equal opportunities, submitted a 3-page memo to their executive editor. After 7 weeks of unsuccessful negotiations with management, the group filed an official complaint with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, charging the newspaper with discrimination against its black employees. On March 23, 1972, the Metro 7 stood on the doorstep of the Metropolitan AME Church and publicly announced their EEOC complaint, speaking about unfair racial practices that were occurring behind the prestigious newspaper's walls. Their announcement sparked conversations and concerns in newsrooms across the nation. The EEOC voted against the filing, but due to the Metro 7's courageous stand for racial equality in newsrooms, discrimination cases against the Post and other major publications were filed by other groups. In 1978, the American Society of Newspaper Editors adopted a goal of achieving racial parity in newsrooms across the nation by the year 2000. Believed to be the first of its kind against a major American newspaper, the Metro 7 Stand for Justice played a significant role in accelerating the hiring and promotion of scores of journalists of color. 2019 NABJ Hall of Fame recipients, the Metro 7, fighting for equality.
Ladies and gentlemen, please help us honor the Washington Post Metro 7.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. Thank you to our host and to the NABJ and to the board. First, the Metro 7 thanks the NABJ for the incredible honor of being inducted into the organization's Hall of Fame. We are called the Metro 7 because in 1972, we were all reporters on the Washington Post Metropolitan Desk. I'd like to introduce the 4 Metro 7 members and the sister of one of our members who has passed. First, to my immediate left is LaBarbara Bobby Bowman. Next is Karen Thomas, the sister of our late member, Mike Hodge. Next is Ron Taylor. And next, last is Ivan C. Brandon. And I don't want to leave myself out, Leon Dash. Missing today is Metro 7 member Richard Scoop Prince. Many of you know him from his online publication, Journalisms, a column that weekly deals with issues of diversity and minority inclusion in every aspect of contemporary journalism: newspapers, digital media, broadcast, and audio. Unfortunately, a personal emergency has kept him from attending. He has asked that we inform our younger colleagues, some of whom were not yet born in 1972, this is a request from him, that you respond to him when he calls you. I got all kinds of instructions on what I was supposed to say today. He is not calling you for some idle reason, but rather to reflect in his column contemporary issues of diversity and inclusion. Scoop Prince put together our application for induction into the Hall of Fame, and we are deeply disappointed he is not here with us today. Penny Mickleberry, who is today a successful playwright and mystery novelist, cannot be here today because of professional commitments. And on a sad note, Metro 7 member Mike Hodge, who pursued a successful acting career, died on September 9th, 2017 in New York City. At the time of his death, Mike was president of the New York chapter of SAG-AFTRA, the union that nationwide represents 160,000 actors, announcers, broadcast journalists, news writers, and news editors. If any of you, I was up late last night, and any of you were watching the Law and Order Marathon, he came on at 10 o'clock. I didn't know he was coming on, in the episode about a corrupt policeman, and he was the judge in that trial. It was good to see him. And we miss you, Mike. Lastly, we give a heartfelt thanks to our attorney, Clifford Alexander Jr., who guided and advised the Metro 7 for months as our pro bono legal counsel. At this point, I will quote from the top of our statement when we opened our press conference on the morning of March 23rd, 1972, at the historic Metropolitan AME Church. We'd like you to reflect on what progress has been made in the 47 years since and what is left yet to be done. Today, we 7 black reporters for the Washington Post filed a complaint with the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, charging the Washington Post with denying black employees an equal opportunity with respect to job assignments, promotional opportunities, including promotions to management positions and other terms and conditions of employment. These and other practices have operated to substantially exclude black employees from supervisory and higher paying positions and those assignments which would enhance their professional growth and progression. I would like to point out that at no point in the several bargaining positions with newsroom management or after filing of the complaint did we ask for or seek salary increases. Our goal was to increase the hiring of black journalists throughout the Washington Post newsroom. In November 1972, after a 7-month investigation, the EEOC issued a report that stated, in part, there is reasonable cause to believe that the Post has engaged in unlawful employment practices as charged by the 7 black reporters. After the public report was issued, the Post embarked on a program of hiring and promotion of journalists of color throughout the newsroom. Lastly, I've been asked, or rather instructed, by Bobby Bowman on how I should end this talk. And we emphasize that diversity about accuracy, which is the core of what we do as journalists. We thank you. Thank you.
Watch your step. Well, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, and if that saying is true, then our next guest, well, his pictures are worth several million.
Known for his work in capturing key historical moments, like the aftermath of Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination, to this trailblazing photographer, every pixel has a purpose. Let's take a look at the legacy of our next Hall of Fame inductee.
Black began his professional career in 1965, working as a staff photographer at the Chicago Defender. It was the late Gordon Parks who sparked the fire that ignited his path as a photojournalist. Black perfected his craft by studying veteran photographers in the field as they captured historic moments. By the time he joined the Defender, it had already established itself as the largest African-American owned newspaper in the nation, fighting for equality for African Americans. In 1968, Black became the first African-American photographer at the Chicago Sun-Times, where he dedicated 38 years of service. A member of the National Association of Black Journalists, Black was a founder of NABJ's Visual Task Force, a group of still and video photographers. Black has received numerous awards and is among the founders of the Chicago Alliance of African American Photographers, dedicated to bringing together Black photographers to promote their work and educate future generations. 2019 NABJ Hall of Fame inductee, Bob Black.
Please welcome 2019 NABJ Hall of Fame inductee, Mr. Bob Black.
Thank you very much. Ever since I went to my first NABJ convention, I think it was 1975, I was hooked. And every year after that, I looked forward to the next one and the next one. And then finally, I got involved with the student projects. And from that point on, I just immersed myself into trying to help young people to take the baton and go on and do their thing. And I've been doing that ever since. But my son asked me, had I prepared a speech? I said, no, because I was only supposed to talk for 2 minutes. And he's down there taking a picture of me right now, and I remember, some of you might remember when he was just a little guy coming to some of the conventions, so now he brings me to the convention. There he is. Stand up so they can see you. 24. But I want to thank my friend, Dr. Milbert Brown, who was responsible for lobbying to get me into the Hall of Fame. I didn't know anything about it, had no idea until I got the call from Sarah. And I couldn't believe it. And I knew when Sarah was calling, it had to be something important because she's too busy to be calling me, you know. So when she told me what it was all about, I couldn't believe it. But I want to thank my friend Milbert. He was, when I called to tell him that what had happened, he said, yeah, I know all about it. And you went in on the first ballot. I said, okay. And so, but Milbert, he's been a great friend of mine all down through the years when we were photographers. He was at the Tribune, I was at the Sun-Times, and it didn't matter. We didn't feel, there was no competition. We worked together on a lot of things. And we also worked together to form the Chicago Alliance of African American Photographers. So, you know, but yeah, and Milbert, I told him when I got here, I said, I just got off the plane and then I had to get here and I forgot to put my tie on, and I said, so I said, I'll just button my shirt all the way up to the top here. I guess I'll be all right. He said, you want to use my tie? So I was sitting over there while he put his tie on me. So, Melvin, I wanted to see who you are, Doctor. There he is, there he is. Yes, so I can be decent and in order, as they say in church. But, and also, being part of NABJ put me in touch and helped me to rub shoulders with some of the giants of photojournalism. Jason Michelow Johnson, Michael Lucille, John White, and so many others that it's too numerous to name, and it helped me to grow, because you know, you don't ever stop growing, you keep on. And so I want to thank everybody who was responsible for me standing up here before you today. Thank you so much. And I'm going to carry this honor with humility and make you proud every day. Thank you. Oh, okay. Oh, it's okay. I just want to say just one other thing. This is very meaningful for me today because it happened on Sarah's watch. She comes from the ranks of photojournalism. So it's very meaningful that I got this today.
This is my mentor here, my Uncle Bob. Love you.
I can stand out here. I can stand out.
I was also just corrected. I said a picture's worth 1,000 words. One of the photographers said, no, man, a picture's worth $1,000. My apologies.
They weren't gonna play you off.
If you are a graduate of a black college, then you know there's no place like an HBCU.
Earlier this year, millions of viewers around the world took notice of historically black colleges and universities when Beyonce released that small film with a big name, Homecoming. The film introduced to the world what the hardest working man in radio already knew. HBCUs are sacred.
In 22 years, the Tom Joyner Foundation has raised more than $65 million to help 29,000 students attend college. At the end of this year, he is signing off, and there's no doubt he will be sorely missed.
Legendary radio personality, entrepreneur, and philanthropist, Tom Joyner is among the most recognized media icons of today. Growing up in the Deep South, Joyner used his voice to fight for civil rights and change in his community. He soon learned that his voice could be an instrument that could influence listeners. Immediately after graduating from Tuskegee Institute in 1970, Joyner began his career in radio. His distinct humor and energy was carried on airwaves throughout the South, from Montgomery, Alabama to Dallas, Texas. His tenacity and audience appeal opened up the chance of a lifetime. Joyner would take to the airwaves during a morning drive show in Dallas, then fly to Chicago for the evening drive on WGCI. Joyner continued that rigorous schedule for 8 years, gaining national publicity and earning him the nickname the Fly Jock and the hardest working man in radio. In 1994, the Tom Joyner Morning Show went into syndication, reaching nearly 8 million listeners in more than 105 cities nationwide. Never forgetting his roots, he created the Tom Joyner Foundation to help keep students in historically black colleges and universities. Since its inception, his foundation has raised over $6 million. 2019 Hall of Fame inductee, Tom Joyner, using his influence to inspire and activate listeners daily.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Fly Jock himself, Tom Joyner.
Oh, wow. All right, NABJ, I'm not going to take up too much of your time. I know you're going overtime, and I do know what overtime costs. I have a lot of people to thank. Turning points in my career, too long to mention. I'll mention one, John H. Johnson. I worked with Mr. Johnson for 5, maybe 6 years in Chicago. This was before I started fly jockeying. And he taught me one very important lesson, and that is to super serve the African American community. And I understood that. And as I grew to become the fly jock, flying back and forth from Dallas to Chicago, to starting the Tom Joyner Morning Show 25 years ago, I have done just that. Whether it be education, finance, health, whatever the African American community is concerned with, I have tried to super serve through the Tom Joyner Morning Show. The Tom Joyner Morning Show, the syndicated show, is 25 years old. And as you just heard, at the end of this year, I'm not getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning no more. It's not godly. Nothing's up at 3 o'clock in the morning but me and the people who put my show together. And I want to thank them, too many to name, because we're on overtime. But although I won't be getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, I will be getting up to help students at historically black colleges and universities till my dying breath with the Tom Joyner Foundation. Thank you for all the support through the years. I love you. NABJ, you're the best.
Not yet. Thank you.
All right, man.
All right. Oh. There are literally thousands of children who would not have graduated from college had it not been for Tom Joyner. So.
Congratulations, much respect, endless gratitude to all of our Hall of Fame inductees.
The next journalist you'll hear from, and the last journalist you'll hear from, truly knows what it takes to be a great leader in and out of the newsroom, an unrelenting dedication to NABJ. She has shifted the trajectory of our legacy for the better.
Earlier this year, she was honored by members of the Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists for her dedication to NABJ and her impact on global journalism. Please welcome the first two-term president in NABJ history, our 21st president, Ms. Sarah Glover.
Thank you for everything. Thank you for everything. Thank you. Good afternoon, NABJ. Wow, this was an amazing awards luncheon, was it not? This is exactly what success and excellence looks like. One of the first words that came to mind as these outstanding journalists were being inducted into our Hall of Fame is courage. During our convention this week, we have been focused on the true meaning of our theme, Fight the Power, Press Forward with Passion and Purpose. These living legends epitomize the true meaning of our theme. Our inductees succeeded despite the turbulent times in society and in their newsrooms and media organizations. They stayed afloat on the battlefield, recognizing what is right and what would one need to do to defeat what is wrong. They pursued their goals to rise to the pinnacle of their careers despite naysayers, some even fighting the same battle, who said they had to do it another way. We're really good at being naysayers sometimes. NABJ family and friends, we are witnessing and recognizing today the fruit from all of that labor and the commitment of our founders, all 44 of them, and that of thousands of like-minded colleagues who have refused to accept the status quo. To create the professionals we are today and who we are honoring today, somebody had to make a sacrifice. Somebody had to endure some pain and some discomfort. Somebody had to take some backlash, isolation, ridicule. You have to remember those days. Some had to risk promotion, pay increases, and even being assigned or not assigned to a top breaking news story. Some of those outspoken, courageous colleagues were sent into obscurity instead of the Metro desk, the national desk, the foreign desk, where journalists were needed to put the spotlight on issues impacting our people. They were overlooked for the special projects, for those investigative teams, or the elections teams. When the anchor, the correspondent, or the bureau chief position became vacant, they were not called to fill it because they were viewed as troublemakers. These journalists were not viewed as team players, but difficult to work with. Some of you can relate to that in this room. There had to be some tough days for the Washington Post Metro 7. They stepped up and spoke out against their management. And during that era, that was real courage. That was bravery. That was self-sacrificing. And that is acknowledged today because this is a battle that journalists are fighting today as well. How many of you still know colleagues who are being underpaid and who are experiencing other injustices in the newsroom and in media organizations? Wanda Lloyd here again, we're talking about courage. We're advocating for the next Wanda Lloyd. Who is that in the room? Garry D. Howard, just like the jocks he covered. This is a man with a lot of heart and determination. Now he's blazing new paths in a new arena in business journalism. Bob Black, my dear mentor, he spent 38 years at the Chicago Sun-Times, chronicling life in a city that is once known as being the most segregated racially in the nation at that time. It took courage to remain at that same news organization and climb the ladder like he did. Dr. Sheila Brooks serves us all in the same tradition as Ida B. Wells. She has been a true frontline soldier for NABJ and for future journalists. She founded our student projects program, which I'm a proud NABJ baby as well, 1995. In Philly. Her work and her dedication speaks for itself, and she's received more than 200 awards in journalism and communications. She actually flew to New York yesterday to receive an award in communications, and she flew back last night. She's that busy. Alexi McCammon, she's the leading voice in the coverage of the 2018 midterm elections and the White House today and heading into 2020. She's one of the past recipients of NABJ's training programs, and she represents our future. She is the future today. When I say NABJ is in good hands, this is what I mean, that this young dynamic journalist has commanded a seat at the table with the best in the business and political reporting. She's been tapped to lead Axios' 2020 elections coverage, and she just said she's 25, right? So we're not outing her. She's going to be 26 soon, which includes her traveling the country, talking to candidates and voters. That is a remarkable accomplishment. Colleagues describe Ron Carter as a trailblazer. He reached many milestones in the entertainment industry as a leader in communications and in media. He's worked for us, and he's advised some of the best in the business, including Michael Jackson, Quincy Jones, Ray Charles, Stevie Wonder, Shaka Khan, the Winans, Angela Winbush, Alita Adams, and Cameo, just to name some. Since establishing his own firm, the Carter Agency, the tradition and his commitment continues. James Washington is a leader in the Black press, which I'm so happy to say that NABJ and the NNPA and the Black press, we have formed new synergies under my administration, so God bless the Black press. He has been promoting the value of diversity and inclusion in newsrooms for more than 4 decades. These are very difficult times in the publishing business, but James has had the courage and the fortitude to continue to tell our stories in his papers in Dallas and Atlanta. His papers established the careers of many journalists, many members of NABJ and NNPA, and they build the value of an organization and a business that serves our community. May his work pave the way for many more entrepreneurs in the newspaper industry, and that is an important footnote, entrepreneurialism. The Fly Jock, our main man, who is also an honorary co-chair of this incredible conference. Tom Joyner is the hardest working man in radio, period. He is a trendsetter, a man who changed radio, especially for Black radio hosts. He brought a new level of power to the microphone. Not only did it become a big money game for those who came after him, but their level of influence skyrocketed because of him. And Tom had the courage to do the right thing and use and parlay that influence. And as a result, he made schools, colleges, organizations, and communities stronger. While he's retiring this year, and it's such an amazing thing to celebrate, but a huge void that leaves. NABJ is also very excited that he is serving with us as an honorary chair. I can't say enough how important that is and how much we appreciate it. So as you can see, he's the hardest man working in radio. He just keeps on giving, keeps on working. We'll find a way to still engage and use it after his retirement as well. Once again, it was an honor to recognize this year's inductees. They are all an inspiration and will continue to inspire and serve as motivation for our members of NABJ who strive to be the very best in this industry. And finally, but certainly not least, the most important thing that I must relay today. We wholeheartedly are so appreciative and thank our sponsor, the AARP. This event would not be possible without your support, and so a very special thanks to you, Ms. Veronica Bird, for being here and supporting NABJ. I also want to thank our prominent hosts, the sensational Alfre Woodard, and our very own Craig Melvin. You are both beloved and inspire us all to greatness. So thank you, NABJ, and have a wonderful rest of your afternoon.